You type the word 唱 or 唱 Cantonese into Google Translate and it gives you sing. Fair enough, right? Then you try 唱歌 or 唱歌 and surprise, Google still gives you sing. Wait, what? Huh? Which one's correct here? Do they both mean the same thing? Google Translate isn't wrong here. It's just missing some key details. But these gaps in understanding are exactly what's gonna trip you up as you try and learn Chinese. So to answer this question for everyone, my team and I prepared this whole video for you guys to explain how exactly Chinese verbs work, along with 3 of the most common mistakes people make with Chinese verbs, with each one being more common than the last. Stick around for the last one. It's something even experienced learners sometimes get wrong too. And if you're wondering why you should listen to me, well, I'm Sheldon and my team are on a mission to help Cantonese speakers master Mandarin and improve their Cantonese so they can connect closer with their culture. We've already helped over 600 Cantonese speakers, and hopefully today we can help you too. Alright, let's get into it. Mistake number 1. Confusing a verb for a verb phrase. Let's start with one of the easiest mistakes Chinese learners make. Treating verb phrases like they're just single words. You might be thinking, okay, what the hell is a verb phrase? Don't worry, I got you. So in English, you kind of already know what I'm talking about, right? When we say things like singing a song or running a race, we have a verb, singing or running, and an object, a song or a race, that completes the meaning, right? What's an object? This was drilled to me in grammar class as a kid when I was in French school. But basically, an object is the thing that's receiving the action. So for example, I eat what? Well, I eat apples, so apples is the object. So in this case, I sing songs, well, songs is the object, right? So while sing is an action, singing a song is an activity. And while run is an action, walking on roads is an activity. So when you're learning Chinese, you need to keep this in mind too. In Chinese, something like 唱歌 or 唱歌 combines the verb 唱 to sing and the object 歌 or 歌. So together they form what's called a verb phrase. Now a verb phrase is used to indicate an activity. Sounds simple, right? But here's the thing. Treating a verb phrase the same as an individual verb character is a trap that a lot of learners fall into. For example, some students will treat the verb phrase 唱歌 or 唱歌, sing song, as just the same as the individual verb character 唱 or 唱 to sing. They'll treat the verb phrase 走路 or 行路 in Cantonese, to walk on the roads, the same as the individual verb, 走 or 行. Or they'll assume all verb combinations are as simple as the words they're made up of. So what exactly is the difference between 唱歌 or 唱歌 and 唱? Well, we can get all technical and dive into complicated linguistic terms like separable verbs, or I can give you a quick hack to remember. When it's just the individual verb character like sing or run, it's typically referring to an action. And when a verb phrase is constructed with a verb character plus an object, sing song, walk on road, it's usually describing an activity. So to break it down, 唱 or 唱 on its own is just the action of singing. It's the most basic form of the verb. But when you add in the object, 歌 or 歌, which means song, as in 唱歌, 唱歌, now you're talking about singing as an activity. Something you're actively doing with purpose or as part of a routine. So let's take the sentence, he sings loudly as an example. In Mandarin, 他唱得很大声. In Cantonese, 佢唱得好大聲. Here we are just describing the action to sing, so we just use 唱 or 唱 instead of 唱歌 or 唱歌, even though technically both mean sing in Google, right? But if you're saying something like, I like singing, where singing is an activity that you do, you say 我喜欢唱歌, 我中意唱歌. See the difference there? In this case, 我喜歡唱, 我中意唱 would be kind of weird. You like sing? Sounds kind of strange, right? So 唱 or 唱 is just the action, the simple act of singing, while 唱歌 or 唱歌, however, is the activity of singing. Something you're doing with a purpose or as part of a routine. So in short, individual verb equals action, verb plus object equals activity. Let's look at some more examples. 跑 or 跑 on its own is just the action of running. It's the most basic form of the verb. But when you add in 步 or 步, which means step, as in 跑步, 跑步, you're now talking about running as an activity. They both mean running, but one is to run, while the other is like the activity of running, right? Like jogging or something, for example. So for example, I had a great time running. In Mandarin, 我跑得很開心. In Cantonese, 我跑得好開心. Here we're just describing the action run. So we use 跑 or 跑 in Cantonese. It's a simple act of running. But if you're saying like, I run in the morning, where run now is technically an activity, in Mandarin, 我早上跑步. In Cantonese, 我朝早跑步. Got it? So just remember, the action itself is just a single verb, but the activity is the one that's the verb plus the object. So 跑步 versus 跑 or 唱歌 versus 唱. Okay? Mistake number 2. Let's talk about a sneaky little mistake that creeps into nearly every Chinese learner's speech, overusing the word 是 or 还, aka the to be verb. Okay? So there's actually 3 distinct mistakes people make with this one, with each one a bit more severe than the last. Now, before I tell you the second and third way, let's talk about the first way, which we actually covered in a previous video called Why Chinese Adjectives Sound Wrong But Aren't. But let's review it real quick. It feels natural to say, I'm happy. 我是高兴. 我係開心. Literally, I am happy from English, but native speakers would never say that. This mistake is subtle but powerful. Mastering when not to use 是 or 係 in Cantonese will make your Chinese sound far more natural and fluent, and it's one of those little wins that take you from Chinese noob to, okay, here, he knows Chinese. In English, we can't stop using to be. I am hungry. She is tired. We are students. It's everywhere. As a result, we tend to add 是 or 係 into every sentence because we assume it works just like is or are in English. But here's the thing though, Chinese doesn't work like English. In Chinese, 是 is only used when you're equating 2 nouns or noun phrases, not when describing states, feelings, or actions. Whoa, Sheldon, that was a lot of mumbo jumbo just now. What do I mean by that? Well, first, let's look at noun phrases. For example, 他是老師,佢係老師 in Cantonese. He is a teacher. In this sentence, both 佢 and 他 in Mandarin Cantonese and 老師,老師 are nouns. And since we're equating one noun with another, essentially saying A is B, this is exactly when you should use 是 in Mandarin or 係 in Cantonese. Another one. 我們是朋友,我哋係朋友 in Cantonese. We are friends. Hope we are. If we really are, you would subscribe. That was natural, right? Anyway, let's go on. So now in this sentence, both 我們, 我哋, and 朋友, 朋友 are nouns. We're identifying one noun, we, as another noun, friends. That's exactly when you should use 是 in Mandarin or 係 in Cantonese to link 2 noun phrases and express identity or classification, basically saying this noun is this noun. So now when does the mistake happen? Well, it's like we said earlier, when you use it to describe states, feelings, or actions. We've all been there, right? You're building a sentence in your head, trying to say something simple like, I'm tired. And your English brain just kicks in full force. You think, okay, I is 我, am must be 是 or 係, and tired is 累 or 攰. Nailed it. So you proudly say 我是累. 我係攰. This looks like a perfect translation from English, but in Chinese it's awkward and extremely incorrect. Why? Well, it's because you're using 是 or 係 to connect a person with a state, which is tired, and that's not how Chinese works. In Mandarin and Cantonese, you don't need 是 or 係 when describing someone's state, feeling, or condition. We actually broke this down in another video called Why Chinese Adjectives Sound Wrong But Aren't, where we explain how adjectives in Chinese kind of double as verbs. And so if you want a deeper dive into that idea, just check out that video. So anyway, without repeating that video, so instead of saying I am tired, the correct way of connecting a noun with a state in Chinese is actually just saying, in English technically, I very tired. And that's totally valid. If your brain is still trying to fight that logic, you might want to check that video out. It'll make the whole thing click. Okay, so it becomes 我很累,我好攰, I very tired. No 是 or 係, just the subject plus 很 or 好 and adjective. This is the natural and correct way to express how someone feels in Chinese, right? Another example here, the one earlier, he is happy, 他是開心,佢係開心. Wrong. Using 是 or 係 here is incorrect because 開心 or 開心 is an adjective, not a noun. You're describing an emotional state, not equating 2 nouns. That's why it's 他很開心 or 佢好開心. Just like before, subject, 佢 or 他很好, okay? And then adjective, all you need. Cool. All right, so we've covered that review. Now let's get into the second and third way that people typically mess us up. So now let's talk about location, because this is very common where learners slip up and break. They sneak in a 係 or 是 where it doesn't belong. Take the sentence, I am at home. Your English-speaking brain might immediately think, oh, okay, I is 我, am is 是, and at home is 在家 or 還 okay. Done. You confidently say 我是在家,我係 okay. And while that feels right, it's actually off. But why? Because you're not linking 2 nouns here, you're actually describing a location. And in Cantonese and Mandarin, the word 在 or 還 in Cantonese already acts as a verb. It means to be at. That's right, this 在 or 還 word in Cantonese is doing all the heavy lifting. So you don't need to say I am at because that 在 or 還 already includes the am part. It basically includes both am at in one word, unlike in English where it's 2 separate words. So the natural correct version is 我在家,我係 okay, I'm at home. No extra Lincoln verb needed. The Trump hands. It's clean, simple, and exactly how native speakers would say it. Using 是 or 還 here actually overcomplicates things and actually makes a sentence sound kind of clunky or natural. So anytime you're using 在 or 還 to describe where someone or something is at school, at home, or at work, just remember, okay, 在 or 還 is already the verb. You're good to go without that 是. Okay, now let's get into the third mistake people commonly make, and this is probably the most severe, which is messing up the present continuous tense. You know when you're trying to say you're doing something right now? In English, we say, I am singing, she is eating, they are working. So again, your English-speaking brain wants to plug in that trusty old 是 or 係 like it always does. You think, okay, I, 我 am 是 係. Okay, sing, 唱歌, 唱歌, and then ing 在 in Mandarin or 緊 in Cantonese. So 我是在唱歌 or 我係唱緊歌. Nailed it. But that's not how Chinese rolls. Here's the key. When you're expressing ongoing actions, Chinese already has its own way to do that. In Mandarin, you use 在 plus your verb itself. In Cantonese, you just say 緊 after the verb. And guess what? Those structures, once again, already include the am, is, or are. No need to just shove in a 係 or 是 because doing that just mess up the sentence. So, 我在唱歌, 我唱緊歌, I'm singing. That's it. Clean, natural, and 100% native. 我唱緊歌. So whether you're tired, 攰, 累, or happy, 開心, 開心, at home, 在家, 喺屋企, or mid-concert, 唱歌, 唱緊歌, just skip that 係 or 是. Okay? Skip it always unless you're linking two nouns. Okay? And fixing this one habit is like unlocking a new level of fluency where you stop making these like newbie mistakes. Okay? You stop sounding like a person who's translating directly from English and rather someone who actually understands Chinese. Quick reminder again, use 是 or 係 only when you're saying A equals to B. Both A and B are nouns or noun phrases. And once again, a noun phrase is just like a phrase that's a noun. So for example, Sheldon's hair is a noun phrase. So Sheldon's hair is cool, you don't need a 是 or 係. Sheldon's hair is a cat, you need a 是 or 係. But that's a weird sentence. If you're describing a feeling, a state, a location, or an adjective, skip that 是 or 係. Seriously, this small habit fix instantly sound more natural. Am I becoming Donald Trump? The third most common mistake learners make is missing the words for completion, 完 or 完, or 到 都, or what's called the result complement. So here's another common mistake many learners make when studying Chinese, which is forgetting to use words like 完 or 完 in Cantonese or 到 or 都 when you need them to describe a completed action or the result of an action, aka result complement, which we'll explain in a second. For example, you might say something like 我吃了, 我食咗, thinking you've clearly said, okay, I finished eating. But that's not quite right. See, in English, we can usually just use the past tense, like I ate, to show that an action is actually complete. But in Chinese, there's an extra layer of detail we need to add when talking about something being completed or resulting in a change. Let's look at the correct way to say this. If you want to say I finished eating, in Mandarin, you'd say 我吃完了. And in Cantonese, 我食完了. Notice that both of these sentences use 完 or 完 to show that the action is completely done. And so the mistake here is thinking that the 了 or 咗 in Cantonese by itself is always enough to show something is finished. It's not. In Chinese, you need that extra piece, or what we call a result complement, to show the result of the action. In this case, that it's done. So let's break it down in detail. 吃 to eat. Incorrect usage. 我吃了. 我食咗. Translation, that just means I ate. Okay, the sentence is grammatically correct, but it only says that the action of eating happened. It doesn't emphasize that the action is complete, meaning eating happened, but did eating finish? So the correct usage is 我吃完了, 我食完了. I have finished eating. The action of eating is finished. 吃完食完 is a verb phrase formed by 吃 and 完 or 食 and 完. And this emphasizes the action of eating is completed, making the sentence more specific and accurate when you want to express that you're done with the action. Okay, so the key difference here is that 吃完 refers to the completion of eating. Okay, it adds the result complement to the verb. So when you say 我吃完了, 我食完了, you're saying I have finished eating with a clear focus on the result of the action. Without that word, you simply say, I ate, which doesn't clearly imply that the eating is finished, okay? And so result complements are extremely important in Chinese. For example, like we saw, 吃完食完, finished eating. 看 means to watch, or in Thai in Cantonese, 看完台语 basically means to I've watched and I've finished watching. It shows that the action not only happened, but that the action is finished, or that you've completed the result of the action. The result of looking or watching is complete. So as of now, 你们还没看完这个视频，你哋仲未睇完呢條片. Okay, so if 完 or 完 means you've finished something, 到 or 到 means you've reached something, emphasizing that something is already achieved. So think of 完 or 完 as marking the end of an action, while 到 or 到 confirms you've arrived as a result, emphasizing that something is already achieved. This is a very commonly misused result complement. So, for example, 找到, 揾到, to find. In English, I found the book. Incorrect usage. 我找了書, 我揾咗書. This translates to I looked for the book, right? The sentence means you looked for the book, but it doesn't emphasize that you actually found it. You might have searched for it, but never actually located it. The correct way to say it is 我找到了书,我揾到本書了. Translation, I found the book. By using 找到 or 揾到, you're emphasizing that the action of finding the book was successful. You didn't just look, you actually found it. You actually achieved the results of finding, right? 听到,听到. Heard. In English, I heard that sound. The wrong way to use it is 我聽了那個聲音,我聽咗嗰個聲. This translates to I listened to that sound. This sentence means you listened to it, but it doesn't emphasize that the sound was actually heard. The correct usage is 我聽到那個聲音,我聽到嗰個聲. This translates to I heard that sound. Here, 聽到 or 聽到 emphasizes that the hearing actually happened and that the result was actually accomplished, that it was heard. You know what I mean? That's the result complement, the results of the verb. Each of these verb plus result complements show that the action didn't just happen for the sake of happening, it actually succeeded or reached a goal. And in Chinese, this is a little detail that makes a huge difference. We have to use result complements when needed in Chinese. So there you have it, the 3 most common mistakes with Chinese verbs that learners often make. And by keeping these mistakes in mind and making a few adjustments here and there, your Chinese will sound a lot more natural and fluent. These small fixes will help you avoid sounding like a textbook and get closer to speaking like a native. Thanks for watching today's video. Now, if you're a Cantonese speaker who wants to learn Mandarin, there's a free guide down below, or check out this video over here. Otherwise, click here for the video that YouTube thinks you'll love. 周一金，再见。